Hello everybody, Ministorm here. Welcome back to Kerbal Space program. In the last episode, we got the ballista over to Eve, got it captured into an orbit, did a plane change maneuver, circularized, and then attempted to get the, what I'm calling, I guess, the traditional style lander down into, Eve's atmosphere and landed. Unfortunately, it appears that the extra density of Eve's atmosphere causes some unique problems that were not present in Kerbin's atmosphere. And the aerodynamic forces kept causing the lander to flip over and burn up. So, yeah, attempted that multiple times, could not get it to work. So, I have some plans to see what we can do about that. And that's probably what we're going to be working on today. Off screen, I went ahead and got the lander. Actually, I got the lander back re-rendezvoused with the ballista and redocked. So it's now safe. It's not going to re-enter at the moment, and, crew's all good. I did an off-screen test also with the aircraft vehicle, and that also does not survive re-entry, so we're going to have to figure something out for that as well. So, to that end, what we're going to do is we're actually going to have to put together some pieces and some components and actually fly them over to Eve. The good thing is that those ballista class ships are pretty self-sufficient and can run almost indefinitely. So, they should be able to sit parked in Eve orbit for a while we get some new parts and some components over there to hopefully make the landers work. The problem with the traditional style lander is actually quite simple to solve. After I thought about it for a little bit, the solution is rather simple. It's just a matter of getting some extra structural components over there, and then we'll get that all fixed. The aircraft is going to be a bit more interesting. So I think we're going to go ahead and start with that. So let's go ahead and head into the vehicle assembly building, and let's start trying to figure some things out. Now, I do have tons of science, but I'm saving that for something specific. I don't quite have enough yet. Alright, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to go ahead and open up the Eve lander and load it in here, or the aircraft. And see what we've got. Now, we don't need to worry about the landing gear. They're all going to be folded up, but the wings and the props and everything, where everything failed when I did my test was here, the cargo bay. So that is the part that failed first, and it basically cut the whole thing in half, and then, it doesn't work after that. So, what is max temp on that? Is 2500 Kelvin. We got very hot very fast. Probably because it's just so lightweight. I'm thinking what we're going to need is we're going to need a heat shield. This thing is going to need a heat shield to protect it while it re-enters. And that's going to be tricky. The only attachment point we potentially have on this thing is that docking port. So, what do we have as far as heat shields? Oh, we have a 3.75 meter heat shield. That's way too small. We have the inflatable heat shield, which I have had mixed success with. Hold on a minute. I need something I can actually pop something on. Let's see. Maybe that'll do it. That'll do. And even so, with the inflatable shield, oops, excuse me. That's not really going to work too much. That doesn't cover enough. Now, we do have a procedural heat shield. What would the diameter need to be to completely cover the entire vehicle? Seventeen meters? Okay. How much would that thing mass? It's like 50 tons. Now, there is another option. That is not what I wanted to do. All right, can I just grab that docking port? Yeah, so I'm gonna bring it over here. The thing is, we don't actually have an attachment point on the front of this vehicle, which is a bit of an oversight. I probably should have put something on the nose that would let me attach something, and probably the aft as well, the tail. You know, like a small docking port would have been a good idea, I think. But I didn't, so we don't have that to work with. Now, in this case, our inflatable heat shields. If we were to attach it there and inflate it, would just barely, I think, provide protection. These wing tips might be a problem, but if they burned off, I think we would still be fine. The only question is, how will we attach something there? And there is an idea for that. And it'd be quite interesting to try and require some very precise maneuvering. But I think it's really the only option we're gonna have. It would be nice to have this much heavier. Alright. What about that procedural heat shield? What can we do with that? There's a big problem with that inflatable heat shield, is it's very light. Which means if you have a very heavy vehicle behind it, it tends to want to flip around with the heavy side front. Because that's just how aerodynamics work. Let's see. 5 meters. We could do 7.5 meters. .5 meters, or even maybe 8.75. 10 meters would work, I think. Probably 1.5 meter thick. Maybe a meter thick. That is kind of silly looking, but it might work. All right, so a 10-meter heat shield. Now, the question will be... how do we get it attached? And there is a little... device that we have. It is the Advanced Grabbing Unit. Okay. Just stick it on here so we can take a look at it. The Advanced Grabbing Unit, when you arm it, basically allows you to attach it to anything. And the hope is that I could use the Advanced Grabbing Unit to basically grab onto the motor on the front and have the heat shield on there and then have that work. And then when we're done with it, dispose of the heat shield. I think that's the only real option, because we could potentially attach the heat shield anywhere with that grabbing unit. But it would mean that I would have to kind of maneuver it in here and hook it onto the front very, very carefully. Well, it'll be interesting. I think that's what we're going to do. Now, get rid of that. So it's going to need what? It's going to need RCS of some description. It's going to need the grabbing unit. It's going to need some sort of control mechanism. It's going to need the giant heat shield. And yeah, that should be about it. Some electrical. Alright, well, let's assemble it. Alright, here's our procedural heat shield. We wanted that to be, what, 10 meters? 10 meters. Yeah, 10 meters and probably a meter thick. Meter thick? 750 millimeters? All right. I'm going to put a stacked coupler underneath of it. $5 meter. Advanced grabbing arm. What does that do? Ah, I see. No, that's not what. All right. Attached to this thing, we are going to need a control unit. Right. A battery. It might be overkill. But I would like it to be big and heavy on this end. So that's fine. And we're going to need an RCS tank. I'll go with procedural because, well, it'll allow me to shape it. Procedural RCS tank. I want it to be a cone. Bottom is going to be our 5 meters. Top is going to be 2.5. That'll give me over 1,800 monopropellant. That'll do. And then... well, actually, the top should be 1.25 meter, I think. And then we have our grabbing unit. Thing is, I don't think I can actually put like a stack decoupler on top of that. No. Unless I arm it. Maybe even then I still can't. Huge RCS blocks. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. Where's the center of mass on this thing? Right about there. That'll make it a little wobbly, but it should be okay. All right. The thing is that complicates matters. I'm considering what the options would be. Let's see. I have an idea. Well, can I make this work? If I were to put, where are they? Put these on. One other thing we're going to need here is we're going to need some electrical. These would probably work. I hope. Alright. And then here we could do 1.25 meter stack decouplers. That might be a bit more than we need. Let's see. This one? I have no choice but to put 4 in there. That's... I don't want to put 4 in there. 1. Can I put 1 in there? Yes. No. See, the thing is, I can't guarantee I will be able to get one perfectly centered. That could be pretty close. Now, I would need some sort of coupling system. Let's see. No, see, that one's attached like that. What about a Clampetron Mondo? No, it doesn't want to attach radially either. Neither does that one. The only ones that want to attach radially would be this. Let me see. Structural component. We're able to get... that might work. That looks pretty centered. Okay, and then what we could do, well, is, well, first off, we could take the whole thing and flip it around, because we would want that on the bottom. Right? And then... there's a reason why I'm doing it this way. There is a reason why I'm doing it this way. And actually, what I would want is not a decoupler there, so we'll do something else there for the moment. We are going to want a payload for 7.5 meter payload fairing. Right. Now, the other thing we're going to need is we are going to need Like, the heaviest strut connector we can possibly get. To keep this thing from wobbling all over the place. That is not... No, 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 no. I want this to be quad. That should hopefully work. All right. We shall see. We shall see. I've not designed or tested this thing yet, but this is the only idea I can come up with. All right. So, this should solve the problem, I hope, with the aircraft. Now we need the problem solver for the traditional lander, and I know that this will work. Pretty sure it'll work. All right, so what we want is we want not a decoupler. Actually, maybe we would want a decoupler. Yes. Now, one other thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to bring up some additional oxidizer because I used a bunch already, and I want to make sure that I don't have enough. So we're going to make some... We're going to bring an oxidizer tank with us. That ought to do. Switch tank, oxidizer. Yeah, that ought to do. And then we are going to need an RCS tank. And it's going to be a cone. Yes. So it'll need to be a procedural RCS tank. Cone, bottom, top, 427.5 monopropellant. That should be enough. All right. And then... actually, before we get to the RCS, we're going to need control unit. We're going to need... battery. Solar panels. It's going to need some reaction wheels. And it's also going to need RCS thruster blocks. There we are. Okay. Now here we're going to have another decoupler. 1.25 meter stack decoupler. And then we're going to have, let's see, where is it? This guy. There we go. And then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 trusses. that guy there, and a docking port. There. With RCS thruster block. Actually, what we're going to want to do is we're going to put something up here. Probably another battery. Just maybe a couple batteries. There we go. RCS thruster block. There we go. And then down here, what we're going to do is we're going to take these guys, radiator wings, and we're going to slap some fins. There you go. Some fins. And that is what we need to make the traditional lander work. So we're going to dock it there to its nose. Heat shield to be up here. Lander, docking port, and then fins. And these fins will help keep the thing aerodynamically stabilized as it re-enters. And because these are basically radiators, they can withstand temperatures of 3200 Kelvin, so they should be fine. And that'll do. So when we get there, what we'll do is, we'll separate this thing. Blow these decouplers. Separate that off. Blow that decoupler. Separate this off. What we'll probably do, actually, is we'll blow that decoupler. Get this thing separated off, docked up where it needs to be. And then blow those decouplers. Get this thing off, and then get it connected to the other lander as needed. Alright, now we need a way to get this monstrosity to, Eve. Which, even at an ideal, we're going to need 2,400 meters per second delta V. We're probably going to need a lot more than that. I would say I want to give this thing 5,000 meters per second of delta V. Oh, for the... Yeah, so we'll dock that up, then we'll transfer the fuel over, transfer RCS as needed, and then, dispose of this. And, yeah, it'll work. Okay, so maybe I should reroute this. Reroute it to there. Alright. Let's build the fairing. Alright. Fairing is going to come out to here. And then it can narrow down as it climbs. Very good. Make sure that we're on clamshell deploy. Ejection force, let's give it some pretty decent ejection force. Make sure those big bearing parts are disposed of effectively. So, what do we have? Mass. 80 tons? Okay. I'm thinking we might want a cryogenic system. All right, let's go to engines here. Let's see. Because we can use nuclear engines. Thermal rocket nozzle. We need something with lots of kilonewtons. Light bulb gas core engine. 191.25 kilonewtons. It's the Tilla thruster. Stubber augmented atomic rocket motor. 282.5 kilonewtons on the Liberator atomic rocket motor. These all use liquid hydrogen. Poseidon trimodal atomic rocket motor. We could use the Deliverance. These don't provide any gimbal. No, these do gimbal. Those do not. Okay. What's our ASL? Or no, our ISP. 1250 in vacuum. The open cycle gas core engine. $87.4 kilonewtons. Plasma nozzle. 500 kilonewtons in space with 5,000 ISP. Interesting. Alright, well, in any case, what we need is a giant liquid hydrogen cryogenic fuel tank. Which we could do procedural, or we could just use a standard. Well, we need a 7.5 meter. So, that's RCS fuel. We can always scale you up to 7.5 meter. And let's see, switch tank. Hydrogen. No, we just need liquid hydrogen. Liquid hydrogen, LH2. Okay, good. Now, I need a 7.5 meter multi-engine upper stage engine mount. That could work, potentially. Upper stage engine mount. What about this one? That's also possible. What are our options? Lower stage engine mount. Adapter tank. This might be the better mount. There we go. It allows us to have 3 upper mount, 2.5. What is the size of that engine? The plasma nozzle. It is 2.5. But it says that we're not getting anything. Megajoule electric power is required to operate the magnets, and the engine must be directly attached to the reactor that generates charged particles or high-temperature plasma, not rated for atmospheric use. I see. They need to be directly attached to a reactor. That's not going to do what we wanted to do. Alright, never mind then. Let's go ahead with these guys. 3.8 thousand meters per second of delta V. Okay. Not quite enough. Let's see, 87.4 kilonewtons. Those are a bit too large. Let's see, if we could sacrifice thrust, 1625 for more delta V, 5200 meters per second of delta V, using these Liberator atomic rocket motors. Is there anything that might be better? 500, we're looking for specific impulse. It needs to be better than 1625. The nuclear light bulb closed cycle gas core engine does 2000 ISP, 4500 kilonewtons. So if we sacrifice some more thrust for these, we gain up to 6,000 meters per second of delta V. All right. Lower mounts, we can put 2.5. So we could theoretically put one there. But it significantly lowers delta V because of the mass. So no, lower mount will be none. All right. We'll give that a go. 6,000 meters per second delta V. That'll do. So we are going to need a 7.5 meter stack decoupler. Do we have such a thing? Payload fairing. Stack decoupler. We do, in fact, have one. Perfect. All right. Now, we are going to need to get this entire thing into orbit. Oh, actually, there is one other thing we're going to need here. We are going to need a lot of solar power. A lot of solar power. Okay. That'll do. Okay. Now, also, I don't necessarily want to use the RCS Or just general maneuvers, but I don't think I'm going to have any choice. And I have a reaction wheel, but that's not a very big reaction wheel. Well, I think we'll just have to deal with it. Okay, fuel tank. Now, here's going to be the question. If I were to just slap, what kind of thrust to weight ratio are we looking at there? We're looking at 2.05, so that's actually not bad. Okay, I have an idea here. This is going to be interesting. Let's see. We're gonna want to do another procedural tank. Cone. Top is going to be 7.5 meter. Bottom is going to be 5 meter. Length is going to be 3 meters. Maybe more. Yeah, something like that. Texture is going to be no that. Let's move that up. There we go. That'll do. That will allow me to put on where is it? I can never find it. There it is. That engine. Which gives me 1,300 meters per second of delta V, 1.95 meters per thrust to weight ratio. That's good. Coupling. So we use that stack decoupler, throw that on there. Okay. Something didn't quite set up correctly. Alright. That engine, that decoupler, that engine, and then that decoupler, and then these engines, and then if we're going it'll be this decoupler. Bearings will probably want to be set there. All right, that'll do. And then what we'll do down here, yeah, we need another 1,000 meters per second of delta V to get into orbit. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do couplers. This, yes. With these tanks. All right. And then those engines. Yes. Okay. So, down here we have these engines. Those engines will burn, and then the couple. Okay. So let me just make sure that everything looks good as far as delta V's, thrust to weight. 3973, that should be enough. All right. Thrust to weights 1.76, 6.2, 1.95. Good enough. All right, let's double check the staging, make sure that it's working. So that's going to be those 4 engines, then the couple, then that engine, and then that decoupler, and then that engine, and then while that engine is burning and getting us into orbit, that will blow the fairing, and then we'll decouple that, fire those engines. And then once we get to Eve, we're going to want to separate that. And then, you know, nothing else really matters at that point. Okay. Looks good. This is not Eve Lander 2. This is Eve Mods. Alright. Save that. This is going to be interesting. All right, there's no Kerbals. Oh, one thing we're going to need, and I almost completely forgot, is we're gonna need some sort of high gain antenna because this thing is not gonna be able to control itself. Yes, I need a relay. Relay. It'll do. There. That'll be for controlling that once we're actually there, but we still need another big antenna on the way. So a big high gain airborne diode laser transmitter. .83 gigameters. I'm gonna need a bit more than that. .61 gigameters. I hope that would be enough. .354 gigameters. we need gigameters. I think we just need this antenna. That should do it. Yeah, that ought to do it. Okay. Okay, that'll be fine. Save it. Let's get those launch clamps installed. And then let's see if we can get it into orbit. All right. I'll give this a whirl. Give this a whirl. Launch it. The big question is going to be, is it going to be stable as it flies? All the thrust weights and delta V's look good. It's just, will this big fairing sitting on top of this, you know, undersized rocket be stable? It should. This thing looks ridiculous. All right, engage the autopilot and let's see what it does. All right, yeah. Let's actually get it to 80 kilometers. Disengage. Engage. 80 kilometers should be perfectly fine. No. We'll do 110. 110. All right, we can always relaunch it if I have to. We are not controlling from the right thing. Glad I double-checked that. We are going to want to control from... Now, one thing occurs to me. We're going to have no control of this thing once we undock that. Does it matter? I don't think it matters. All right. We just need... to control from here. There we go. All right. Do it. Oh, let's make sure that this is staged right. Yeah, that's staged right. Do it. Throttled down for max Q. Alright, core stage is going. We're stable. really do not want to use any of these engines for the ascent and orbital circularization. Alright, how are we doing? Electric charge. We're good for electric charge. The alternators on here are producing enough. All right, we got what, 743 meters per second of delta V left in that upper tank, upper stage. That should be plenty to put this in orbit. Electric charge is starting to drop because the cooling. The solar panels are probably overkill. Bearing deploy, solar panel deploy. Alright, we got 3 minutes to go until a 14-second burn. Make sure the auto warp is on. All right, we are in orbit. Okay, so we want to go ahead and dispose of this upper stage. Do it. Push us away a little bit. All right, engage the engines. All right, and what is it going to take to get us out of here? 937 meters per second delta V. A 5-minute long burn. Alright, sounds good. Make sure electric charge is fine. Electric charge is fine. And, U-233 in the engines. Alright. Well, execute the node. How does it rotate without the RCS? It looks like it rotates pretty well without the RCS. That's good. That's very good. And we're not wobbling all over the place. We're not wobbling all over the place. Means our struts are doing well. And I think we got that centered pretty well because we didn't have any balance issues during launch or anything. So yeah, excellent. All right, let's see how these things work. That's interesting. But they are basically operating as giant radiators, so any waste heat that we have should be bled off by these radiators. Alright, well this is going to be a 5-minute long burn, so I'll be back in, a second or two. Wait for those to finish. Alright. Maneuver is just about done. Okay, there we are. Let's get us out of the Kerbal system. All right. Now we need to select Eve as our target. And we need to do our transfer and calculate the transfer node. It's going to take 827 meters per second at delta V, which shouldn't be a problem. shouldn't be a problem. All right, so we'll go ahead and stop here for today. And how long is that? That's gonna be 1 year, 94 days. I have to see how that stacks up against the Arbalest's maneuver and the nuclear test beds maneuver schedule, and see how that all goes and how much, because I might advance things a little bit off screen. Well, I'm definitely going to be advancing things a bit off screen. Yeah. We'll see where we're at when we come back for next episode. So for now, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.